Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mythologue. This is episode 6. Every Monday night, our cast of lore makers whips you up a fresh and unrehearsed batch of lore. In Dungeons & Dragons, a game master narrates a story, and the players create the action in the story by existing and making decisions as their characters. For when the fates must have their say, there's always the dice. I have many special thanks going out this evening to Ariel, my daughter and partner in crime, who has had a large hand in developing the storyline for the next couple of episodes. I'm very excited to share our next little chapter of events with you. So anyway, our story so far, our adventurers find themselves mysteriously in the Feywild and are trying to figure out a way to get home to the material plane, having disrupted and kind of pissed off the natural environment and its citizens to some extent. They've now found themselves mired deep in the woods, beset by the emotional effects of the region surrounding the Summer Crag, which is the home and the lair of the Bear King in the Feywild. This is a place of lore in the Feywild where Feely grew up, having remembered that the Bear King has a place where aggressions can run high, emotions can run high, and our adventurers have definitely noticed that. In fact, to such an extent that they kind of had to be rescued, as it were, from their own situation. Last week's episode, they met a family of gruff and were helped quite a bit along on their path by receiving some ointment that could help stave off the impact of these emotional regional effects of the Summer Crag, as well as some advice to make sure to bring a freshly killed animal as an offering for the Bear King himself. The hunt was on, and Kian brought in a badger upine of some kind, something spiky and spiny that actually hurt him pretty badly on the way. And the hunt did not go as smoothly as was hoped, but it did go. Unfortunately, however, it took too long, and the ointment ran out on the hunting party before they were able to make it back to the main trail where Epiphany holds the jar of ointment. So at this point, that emotional effect has returned to the hunting party, which consists of Kian and Flame and Finnick? No, Kian and Flame and Wex. That's right. And unfortunately, Flame has succumbed to sadness, sunk down on the ground in the little game trail deep in the underbrush. Flame is now despondently unwilling and unable to get up from the path, and he is a big kitty. So, Kian and Wex, what are you going to do about this? I can't wait to find
out. Buddy, how long do you plan on just staying on the ground there? We gotta keep moving.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
You need some food or something. What's going on?
I got some
cat. How about do you wanna how about a magical talking rock? Would that make you feel better?
Wex, I don't think this is a path that's going to be helping him.
It always makes me happy. I don't know.
That's fair. Only goes so far. Flame, what exactly is afflicting you at this moment?
I just can't do anything right.
Well, you could start by like coming with us, and like it's okay that you're sad, but you should still come with us.
Oh, what's the point?
All right, Wex, try a persuasion roll with disadvantage because you're up against a magical effect, but you could start by coming with us as a way to start doing things right is a pretty solid argument.
That was persuasion, huh? That's fun.
Persuasion.
17 with disadvantage.
Oh, damn, son. That ain't bad at all. All right, Flame, I'm going to have you roll a wisdom saving throw. Yeah, just a straight roll.
Ooh, 5.
Okay. Now all of a sudden, all you can think of is that you're probably failing your friends by sitting down, and suddenly you're beset by guilt, and it's definitely probably the thing to do to get up. It feels.
I should probably go with you, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be much better this way, I assure you.
I'd offer to carry you, but I've already got the game that.
No, I don't want to be a burden.
You could jump inside my backpack and we could run really fast.
No, I'd probably just break my leg trying to jump in there.
Flame, you try to get up, but really in your depression, your body's really having a hard time moving. Retry your wisdom save against the this time against the magical effect of the summer crag.
Okay, this time I got a 14.
Okay, unfortunately, it does not subside. You're really struggling. You've got just like it's such a deep weight inside of you. It's like your limbs won't move. You want to get up and do the right thing, but you just can't. We should probably put a mental health awareness content warning on this episode. Please remind me.
Really. Flame, you got to be getting up. You have done a lot. I almost got killed by that the thing that I tackled earlier. I still don't know what this thing is called. If you want to name it, that'd be great. It's a mouthful. But you saved my life back there. I don't know what you're talking about not being worth anything, cause like.
Yeah, you definitely did a lot more back there than I did. I mean, I was trying to take notes, but then
You're
things
just
got weird.
being nice.
Yeah, that's really my MO.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't make me drag you by your tail. Just come on, let's be getting back to the path. I'm sure the rest of them are missing you and us.
As much as you try, it doesn't seem to be possible to make Flame's body willing to move. He's just paralyzed in this depression and he can't get up. And as the minutes tick away,
Yeah.
You realize that probably your friends are going to be worrying about you. Back at the main trail, Epiphany, Feely, Finnick, and Astara have re-ointmented themselves and are waiting with increasing concern for the return of the hunting party. They're off into the deep, thick underbrush, quite a ways. You haven't been able to hear them or see them for a long time, since just after they left. Epiphany, you've handed out, the ointment to everyone and made sure that everybody got some right there and between their collarbones. And, as you put it away, tell us what you're thinking.
So can I hear anything? Are they close enough that I would be able to hear anything that's going on?
You haven't been able to hear them for a while, but since Flame's been kind of kicking up a bit of a wail, let's see if you could do a perception check and see.
Okay.
They're a ways off, and the underbrush is thick, but maybe.
That's a 19.
Yeah, you can hear faintly, far off in the distance, into the deep undergrowth, you hear the voice of Flame, and all you can hear is this sort of keening wail. You can't really hear the words that are being said. You just hear like a...
Okay, so you guys, I feel like something's a little weird. I'm gonna maybe trot out there and see if I can find them. It seems like they're taking a really long time, and I'm a little bit worried that maybe they're in some kind of trouble.
A star grabs a hold of your leg. She's like, I'm afraid you might get hurt or lost. Don't you think someone should come with you?
Well, I'm not afraid, and I'm pretty strong, but if one of you guys wants to come with me, I suppose that'd be okay too.
I don't think I'd be very helpful.
Yeah, Finnick would offer. And we've already split up enough, and it doesn't seem to be working out too well. And he'll hand a Stara. He has a signal whistle. Like, just keep hold of this, just in case we need to find our way back.
Okay.
And yeah, Finnick will head off with her.
Thank you, Mr. Finnick.
Right, and Epiphany will look at Astara and say, so think some happy thoughts, and give her that tiefling grin.
Okay, Feely, maybe you could try to teach me some more magic. That makes me happy.
Yeah, you know, I think I'm about as useful as Astara would be in all that thick underbrush, so maybe I'll just stay here with her so that someone's watching out for her.
That makes good sense.
Okay. Thank you. I'm worried about you, but you're gonna be okay, right?
We'll be okay.
Okay. Should we maybe keep a little bit of the goop in case something happens?
Does anybody have a container?
I don't. Feely, do you?
Nothing particularly helpful for that, no.
Okay, you better hurry back then.
Will do.
Okay. So Finnick and Epiphany, you two go off into the underbrush and just roll us a dexterity check as you're getting into this really difficult terrain.
Uh, 23.
I got a 17.
Beautiful. You two slip into the underbrush and have actually done this enough now with this forest, and both of you are feeling determined and centered and real easy with the environment. So making your way along the game trail toward the sound of Flame's keening voice, you are able to go pretty close to normal speed. Rather than having your speed decrease too much by the thickness of the underbrush. Meanwhile, however, Kian and Wex, I'm going to have you both roll wisdom saves for me now. Or actually, sorry, constitution saves. Wex, you're muted.
That's a 17.
17, all right. You can feel the sense of anxiety and a little bit of frustration welling up in you as you guys are unable to get Flame off of the ground. But you shake it off. You realize it's probably the thing happening again, and just kind of like pace around a little bit in your wild little gnome way. Kian?
17.
Beautiful. About the same. Yours may not be necessarily impatience or anxiety or frustration, maybe something a little more like concern and deep worry for the party as a whole and for Flame in general, but ultimately you're able to shake it off and not let it really quite get you down. Flame, sitting there just sort of like under this cloud of darkness, you know, and this like heavy weight inside your chest, you look up at your friends and you see that they're still there waiting for you. And I'm just going to have you go ahead and repeat your constitution save and see if you're able to shake off this region effect yet.
I have been doing wisdom. Was I supposed to be
Yeah,
doing
we have 2. When you fail
Oh,
the
okay,
Constitution save for the wisdom effect, then you have to do a wisdom save to see how bad that is.
Okay, well, I got a 4, so...
Okay, so you're still impeded by the emotional effect of what's happening, but I'm going to have you repeat your wisdom save as well, and we'll see if you can regain control over your body.
Okay, there we go. 18.
Okay. Whether it's motivation, inspiration, or straight up just shame, something manages to make you get up onto your feet. Slowly and sluggishly, you find your way up to an unsteady sort of a stance on all fours at first, and then you bring yourself up to full height using your tail to balance you. You feel unsteady and definitely sluggish, as if maybe you're wading through the ground to try to move along with your companions, but you're ready to begin trying. Making your way back
I
through
guess
the...
I should go.
Dude,
Yeah.
you can do this, friend.
Yeah, let's get a move on.
Making your way back through the underbrush toward the main trail, you all are only able to maintain about half speed. And in the meantime, Epiphany and Finnick are making their way toward you. All right. It doesn't take too long before the 2 of your groups find each other. Although you've heard a few sounds of wildlife in the bushes nearby, nothing has threatened or come to your attention as far as anything being a problem. Pretty soon, Epiphany and Finnick, you all come across Kian and Wex kind of hovering on either side of Flickering Flame as he sort of leans on both of them and is weeping and attempting to, if sluggishly, move his body forward through the forest.
Yeah, and he's also kind of a bloody mess right now, too, by the way.
Oh, that's true. He did get hurt pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, your Epiphany
I
and
would have
Finnick.
cured you long ago.
Oh, okay. So you are, how do you go about curing him, Wex?
I just like walk over to him, like in his initial mopey state. I would have done this. I forgot that you were so damaged. My bad. And like just kind of like gave him like the half hug, you know what I mean? Squeezed him on the far arm and like, it's gonna be okay, buddy. Just stick with us here. And in my other hand, I will like, have my thieves' tools to be able to cast my spell.
Okay. All right. So you give him a squeeze. You cast
Cure wounds.
Cure Wounds, and you have to roll for that, right?
Yeah, that's going to be, what is that? 7
8
points.
plus your mod.
Yeah.
7
It was
points.
a shitty roll. But my mod's good, so it's 7.
Cool. That helps considerably.
Okay. So did we?
Oh,
Does anybody know? Do we still have 2 streams going?
no, we're fine.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right.
So as we
Uh,
meet Epiphany and
So
Finnick,
yeah.
Kian will be like, "Well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? Do you got any of that ointment? I think we ran a little low."
Sure do. What happened to you guys?
I messed
So
it
many
all up.
fascinating things.
They all start talking at once. As their pile of voices, you hear Flame, I messed it up, and Kim being like, oh, well, it wasn't that. But Wex, go ahead.
I said, so many things. Here, I actually took notes. Here, you can look. Would you like to read?
Yeah,
It's quite a tale.
And Kian, what did you say?
I said the brambles were brambly.
Yeah, it looks like they were brambly.
Yeah. You got the ointment though.
Open up.
Yes.
Thank you.
And opening up Wex's notebook, you come to the page where he took notes on what happened with the with the animal, and you can see the animal and the spines on it. As Keen is holding it, right? Or is it in the bag holding? Keen is holding it, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't voted.
But you're able to interpret Wex's notes. He actually, for being such a chaotic little being, he does take very careful notes. And so there's actually little diagrams and full explanations of everything that happened and et cetera, this and that. And so you're able to gain a full understanding of what it looked like for Kian to be on top of this thing, sort of wrestling it down with this spiky tail coming up and whipping and stabbing him, and Flame trying to shoot it, and it just nothing working at all for a good little while. But yeah, you gained the whole story of last week from reading Wex's.
Well done, Wex. This is an excellent retelling, and that is quite a beast. I hope the Bear King appreciates your efforts.
It was the most
the book back.
fascinating technique I've ever seen in hunting. I never would have guessed.
Well, we should definitely get going. Flame, are you okay?
No.
Rubbing the ointment on Flame. Yeah.
Okay. Flame, as the ointment touches you, you feel the cooling sensation through your chest. You feel it just instantaneously calm and sedate your emotions. It's like a breath of fresh air, like peppermint, into your feelings. You're like, whew. All of a sudden, you just feel okay. It's like a fog clears.
I don't know what came over me. I feel so much better.
I think it was probably just the crabbiness. It sounds like, according to Wex's retelling, that you were a pretty integral part of this whole capturing.
Yes. I can see that now, but I was in quite the mood.
Yeah, crabbiness. Yeah, you've been a very good friend.
Wow, thank you.
You really helped me understand how this works, like very, very significantly. I think we can possibly do something with this going forward.
With what are you referring to, Wex?
Just my general trying to figure out what the hell is happening right now, because I'm like, I have the curious mind, but I also have no fucking idea what's going on with this, why everybody's suddenly freaking out.
I'm genuinely concerned you think that that's how all hunting trips go. I gotta tell you that's not the case. That was just an unfortunate situation. But nice shot back there, Wex.
What?
Hopefully there's less blood.
You mean other things can happen? Oh, you must take me next time.
Of course. Good marksman. And then I'll...
How exciting.
Say, well, friends, it seems like you're missing a couple. Did you leave them back on the path, Epiphany and Finnick?
Oh, yeah, Feely and the kiddo are back there. We should probably make our way. And Finnick would probably also be like examining this beast and seeing like a crossbow bolt in it. Like, did you do this, Wex?
Yeah, it was wild. At first I was just like taking notes and like trying to learn, but then it seemed like things were going really, really badly. And I shot.
Oh, hell of a shot.
It's definitely the best shot I've ever made. I'm not used to this.
Yeah, no, I'd imagine. And Finnical, he's also going to make a mark just with chalk where we are. He's just been doing that where we are,
All
updating
right.
his map. And then just try and hold the brush aside so everyone can.
Okay.
What?
Trying to push the undergrowth away and some of the brambles so that your companions can move along the game trail back to the main path. You all managed to get through pretty easily this time. Everyone, you know, without that constant energetical drain of the emotional effect of the region, it's really a lot easier traveling through here, and the place doesn't seem quite as sinister. It feels much better. You arrive back at the path, and Astara is extremely relieved to see all of you. She's a little nervous about the amount of blood that's on Flame, but checks in quickly. Flame, did you get hurt?
Yes, I did, child, but I'm okay now. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Kian, did you get hurt too?
Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend you staying on the trail if you can and not tackling this guy. But I'm
He's
okay.
very spiky. He's really spiky. Wow.
Yeah, never seen anything quite like him before. Wonder what he's called.
I don't know. He looks like a giant porcupine, but maybe mixed with like I don't know, some kind of bear or badger or something.
Mm.
We have all those things near where I live, but nothing like this. Anyway, I think we're close.
It's good news for us.
I guess so. I'm kind of scared.
Me
Nothing to
too.
worry.
Oh, we've got a limited supply of this stuff. And if this keeps coming up, we're going to be in trouble. So maybe we shouldn't dally too long. As nice as reunions are.
All right, lead the way, navigators.
Making your way onward down the main trail, Epiphany and Finnick, you all have kind of gained the hang of this, and you're able to move the group through using your navigational systems. It's working pretty well. I'm not going to make you roll for it this time. Finnick, you're marking your map. I am going to have you roll with your cartographer's tools because as you have gone a little ways longer, traveling again is much easier with that jar of ointment, and pretty soon you arrive at the mouth of a large cave. You can see that it is, dark gray stone. It looks like such a very classic cave. It's like a deep mouth, and inside you can see it's not lit, it's dark, but you can see like the edge of little piles of bones and stuff like that. It definitely looks like the place that you've come to. It's about 12 to 15 feet high and arched like an arc. Just right into the face of a giant stone crag. You see that the mountain is majestic, rising high above the tree line, straight up above you. The cliffs are dark black and brown and gray stone, but you can also see sort of shimmering throughout them veins of minerals and gems and precious metals that are just sparkling throughout the cliffside. It's one of the most beautiful things that you've ever seen, this golden sort of sunlight haze that gilds everything here in the Feywild is glimmering off of these shining veins and flashes of natural wonder within the stone, ending in front of you in this deep, dark mouth of a cave. Looking down, you can see many tracks of the bears that obviously inhabit this place. It seems pretty much like this is where you were trying to get.
fancy cave for fancy bears. I think this might be the spot.
Must be. Do we knock or something?
Woo.
Well, I don't. Is if how do you encounter a bear king? Like,
Hey, Allison.
That's Flame.
Oh, hey, Adam, you're screen sharing?
There you go. But
Sorry, I meant to do something else.
yeah.
Nice try. Anyway, Wex, start again.
I don't like. Do you just knock on the door of a king? I've never experienced a king before. Like, will a king be mad by that? And will a mad bear king eat us?
I mean, from what I gathered in speaking with the Gruffs, I think as long as we keep telling this Bear King how lucky we are to be in his presence and give him that dead thing, we should be okay.
Worth a try.
So when you had mentioned hearing music stopping and starting, does it seem like we're any closer to it? I don't know. I haven't noticed it myself.
It sounded like a door at a party opening and closing. I don't see any doors around here that could be it other than this. Bree, is there actually a door?
No, there's no door. You see just the cave mouth, which is 12 or 15 feet high, and you can see the sunlight-ish goes in a little ways and illuminates some, the dirty, dank floor and a couple piles of bones and stones that you can see littering the cave bottom. That's really all you can see, and then it just sort of disappears into the darkness, so you'd have to go in further to see more or illuminate it in some way or something like that. As of right now, I'd say you're still kind of like back in the forest looking at the cave mouth and the clearing. And I'll let you guys decide, what you want to do about this, if you're going to go into the cave or if you're going to do some other plan.
Is everyone looking healthy right now?
I feel great.
I could use a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't recommend tackling this guy. Maybe we could just sit here for a moment, see if anyone comes in or out. Otherwise, maybe I could just some magic and make sure that you're feeling okay before we go any further, Flame.
That would be great. I have this tune that usually makes me feel better as well.
Oh, is it something that takes long, or is it a pretty immediate kind of thing?
Just as long as it takes to play the song.
Heard some long songs. That was kind of a vague answer.
I'm sorry. It's true. It's true.
This Rush or like
The November Rain or
Ian remembers one year when the Druids of his circle back home did like a 47-day rendition of the goddess's own Mother Creation ballad, and well, I don't know. All right, Flame, what's your song sound like? Song of Rest.
It out.
This is beautiful. So you all sit down. Flame, you play your song. Are y'all just going to kind of sit at the edge of the forest in view? Or is anyone going to
I'm definitely gonna peek around. I have dark vision too, so I want to try and get up in there and see what I can see.
Okay. What's everyone else doing? Epiphany, hold that thought for a second. Flame, you're sitting down. Are you sitting down like in view, or did you attempt to like get behind anything to play your song? You're doing a short rest, right?
Yeah. I'm just sitting. I just sit down right by everybody else and start playing.
Okay.
How far is the
But
cave?
I guess what I'm asking is, are you all trying to conceal yourselves in any way or not?
It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, to be honest, no.
Perfect.
I mean, Kian would suggest it. Go ahead, Feely.
Like, do I know what the most respectful way to approach? Essentially, what I'm assuming is like an archfey or like a leader of a fey court would be.
Roll a history check.
Oof. 13.
You know that no matter how you approach, you're going to be approaching at a disadvantage. The gift of the offering of a kill is the best thing that you know of as far as approaching, the powerful of this land, and that it would be a different kind of gift if it were a different kind of authority figure, but for the Bear King, this seems appropriate. You don't know of anything much more that you all could do, but you know that ultimately, whether you present yourselves or get found or whatever, that you're going to be at a disadvantage and you're likely to be approached as playthings, which is the normal way of fey courts of any kind.
Right.
With mortals from the material plane.
Well, I think I would still then assume that knowing we're about to be treated as playthings is the best bet. So I think Feely would recommend, like, try and be like, do we really want to be this in sight of the things? Or would we rather, go at it at our own terms?
I was just thinking the same thing. This already seems like an unfriendly situation. I don't want to be making it much more unfriendly. Maybe we can sit tight for a little bit, or if a couple want to scout it out and be real careful, I'd be okay with that. But line of sight without line of sight situation, I could climb up into a tree and signal if anything goes wrong, if Epiphany wants to check out the cave or something.
Oh, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Does that sound wise to you, Feely?
It seems a bit better than just standing around and waiting for them to stumble upon us accidentally. I'm sure they already know we're coming. I mean, the big fancy bears did see us at one point already, but...
Big fancy bears. I love it. Okay, so Kian, finding a tree, give us an acrobatics check to get on up the tree. Flame, Wex, Finnick, and Feely, go ahead and roll stealth checks to get hidden back in the forest.
I got a 12.
13.
17.
Hey, there you go.
I got a 19.
Well, what did I hear? A 15, Wex?
I was a 13.
12, 13, 17, and 19. Okay. And then Epiphany, go ahead and roll a stealth check to go on your scouting mission.
That is a 23 on a nat 20.
I got a nat 20 climbing my tree too, so yeah.
Oh my God.
Nice.
We're very confident.
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. So Kian shimmies up the tree like a squirrel. And Epiphany, you basically make yourself look like part of the side of the cliff. You just blend right into the cliff face and you sneak your way over to the mouth of the cave and slip your head around, kind of horns hither and yon, feeling your way along inside the cave, just barely visible. You look around and I'll have you make a perception check in there. Or investigation, whichever you choose.
That is a 17.
All right. Looking around, you can see that it kind of ends a little ways back. Less than 60 feet back, you can see the back wall of this cave. And there's no indication that there's anything else to it, really. It's just a wide open room with some piles of trash, and maybe it's not the place after all. Who knows? Roll an insight check.
That's it's an unclean 20.
Unclean. Okay. With your unclean 20, you realize that this is the entrance. This is not the cave. That there's some kind of a door in here. There's some kind of way to open the way. And you just don't know what it is.
Can I hear anything?
Listening closely around throughout the cave. Tell me where you're going. Where are you in the cave?
Probably just inside and to the left if you're looking into the cave.
Okay. Roll a perception check.
That's a 15.
You really can't hear anything. I mean, you can hear straining your ears. You don't hear anything that seems outside of the ordinary. You can hear like your companions rustling around trying to get hidden, but it's hard to hear anything else.
Okay.
So are we not hearing the music that we were hearing earlier intermittently? We haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, you haven't heard it since
we got close. Okay.
Since like the hunting trip.
Okay.
So I'll probably pop back out to where the people are and just say something like, well, this is definitely the place, but it's, not the place. It's like the start of the place. We definitely have to go in there. There's not a lot happening in there, but I know it's the way to where we need to go.
Sounds good to me.
Well, they said we'd need an offering. Maybe this thing's like a key.
Maybe.
There seem to be bones in there, right?
Yeah, that's about it. Bones and rocks.
Certainly down to look around, but I really don't like this situation. It's we're definitely not going to have the advantage in here, and that's becoming ever more clear.
Yeah, I mean, we only have so long for this ointment to work, and that's definitely to our advantage. And so I think we should probably press on as quickly as we can. And just remember to say lots of nice things about the Bear King.
I'm good at saying nice things about people.
You're going to be great, Astara.
Okay. Thank you.
How long is a short rest?
So I have 2 short rests. With a 20-minute short rest, 15 to 20-minute short rest, you can roll hit dice and just kind of catch your breath. You can do a couple healing spells or, a mending of something or something like that. With a anything that needs, like if you need a short rest to say attune to an item or something like that, if something says that it takes the duration of a short rest, that's 2 hours.
Oh. Okay. So if I like wanted my wild shapes back or a warlock wanted their spells back, would that be 20 or 2?
That would be 2.
Okay.
That would be a 2-hour short rest.
Okay, and we certainly don't have time for that. But 20 minutes. I would love to roll hit dice. And Flame, you're singing, right?
Mhm.
That
Yeah, Song of Rest definitely has been happening, so you can add your add-on to your hit dice.
is that a
Right.
D6?
Yep.
Okay.
Keely's definitely going to cast their mage armor before going back into this
Yeah.
into this cave for 8 hours of extra armor.
Yeah, Finnick will hand out the rest of his good berries. He gave 5 to the family, but 5 left. I'll just give them to the rest of them.
What do those do again? How much they heal?
1.
Oh, okay.
Heal
But
one,
if you're dying, 1
I'll
hit
take
points.
it.
Yeah.
and they give you a feeling of well-being, and they also are all the food and drink you need for a day.
Oh, great.
1 good berry.
Thank you. I love these.
Snacks.
They're so special.
I
Okay,
rolled
so-
1 hit die. I don't know if you trust us to track that on our own, I'm sure, Bree.
Sure, of course. Absolutely.
Flame, did you also roll a hit die?
Yeah.
Just don't want any.
Yeah, anybody that rolls a hit die or does a healing spell, right, Flame? During a Song of Rest, it gets an extra D6.
Yeah, if you or any friendly creatures who can hear your performance regain hit points by spending hit dice at the end of the short rest, each of these creatures regains an extra 1d6.
Nice.
So you just rock like a 20-minute guitar solo.
Yep, yep.
It was Rush.
Guitar
Continues.
solo of healing.
Okay.
That flute solo.
So about 15-20 minutes of plunking away and just sort of quietly resting in the woods go by. At one point, I'll have you all roll a perception check.
— 21.
Flame, you hear a rustling as you're playing. You hear sound from a little further off than your companions.
All right, Flame will stop playing abruptly and go into alert mode. And then he'll say, "Shh, I hear something."
All right. Everyone kind of sinking back into the bushes as Flame goes silent. Everyone quietly watches as you see 2 bears. Very, very large, majestic, beautiful bears. One of them is kind of a golden brown. The other one is dark, dark, dark brown, almost black. They both walk on their hind legs in a fashion that would be normal for a bear, but they both seem very good at it. And both of them are wearing hats. One has on a red hat that has a big fancy frilly rim, and the other one has on just a small purple cap that sort of hugs onto its skull. And that one is also wearing a purple scarf. The red hat one is just wearing a red hat. These bears are walking through the forest, and you can hear them talking to each other. Miss Lee, I simply think that we should have come earlier because we're going to have missed all of the good food. Oh, it's going to be all right. There's going to be plenty left, and if they've eaten all the good food, I'll eat one of them. And you just hear them bickering along like this as they pass by you. You watch them enter the mouth of the cave, and then you hear a scraping sound, and you hear the music. You can hear many instruments, penny whistle, and something that sounds like, like a big washtub bass or something like that. You hear a plinking stringed instrument, all playing together, and like several drums. You hear, "Oh, Chrysalie, Mathilda! Chrysalie, Mathilda, come in, you're late." And then, and the scraping sound followed by a resounding thud, and the music is gone in a wink.
I haven't got to get one of these doors in my house. That is amazing.
I don't suppose you can turn into one of them bears.
Not particularly, I'm sorry.
Disappointing, but fair.
What color bear were they anyway?
One bear was golden brown and a little bit larger. That's the one in the red hat. The slightly smaller bear, and that one had like more voluminous fur. Slightly smaller, shorter haired bear was dark brown, almost black, was wearing the purple skull cap and the purple scarf.
Someday.
Well, we know the way.
Yeah, that really helped a lot.
Yeah.
Was anybody paying attention? I forgot to.
No, I saw it. Yeah.
Excellent.
If you need to write it down, I can recount it for you really quick.
Oh, that would be lovely.
I've had my notebook out like this whole time. Like this is all research.
Always taking your notes. So making your way toward the cave mouth. It appears just as it did before. Do you all just enter? What's your plan?
Anyone have any sort of light?
Sorry, Epiphany?
Epiphany will definitely just kind of boldly walk into the cave.
And Kian?
Does anyone have any sort of light? I don't want us to be tripping over anything.
I have dark vision. I'm not too worried about it.
I mean,
Me too.
yeah, I do too, but my impression is that not all of us do.
Well, I gave
Which
Finnick.
makes me up.
Yeah.
You can see his goggles now have like a little bit more of like a pinkish kind of purple glow to them.
Oh, well then I guess we're all good. That's excellent.
Thanks for checking though. Do we want a torch just in case, I don't know, we need to swing it at a bear?
I can
I definitely think we shouldn't be swinging anything at anybody. I think that's only going to get us in trouble here.
Yeah, I would say let's try to avoid that as long as we can. But Astara, can you see in the dark?
No.
I know you don't like it.
No, I can't see in the dark. That's one of the reasons I don't like it.
Do you want a little piggyback ride of sorts? So you don't have to stumble your way?
That would be so fun. Yeah.
Do you guys mind if I cast Dancing Lights? It's
Well,
just, hands-free. Doesn't really...
That's the one I was learning, right? Is it a good time for me to practice?
set of goggles.
I'd love to let you practice it, Astara, but last time you had a little bit of a mishap, and I'd hate for that to happen in front of the bears.
Okay, you're right.
Practice it soon, though. Don't you worry, okay?
Fine.
I have an extra set of goggles. Also, I could take the spell off your cloak and put it onto the goggles, and then you could see in the dark too.
I think I'd rather be more protected.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
I can just do a piggyback on Kian.
Mhm.
But could somebody else carry the dead body then?
That's a fair ask. Wex, do you still have that special bag that can hold things, I think?
Yeah, just throw it in the pack. And I open it up.
As long as you can get it back out when we need it, you know what I mean.
I hope so.
Okay.
Let's try now.
Flame
Okay.
will say, "What's our plan here? We're just going to walk in there and like we're guests to the party?"
I think we should walk in and say hello and tell them that we brought a present for the king. Let's lead with the good stuff, right?
Oh,
That
I definitely
sounds-
agree with that.
I think that's as good of an idea as we've got. They're not going to respect us either way, so I don't think we need to try and be sneaky about it. Plus, they do seem to be paying attention for when that door is open, and it seems like they're maybe having a party. So probably just waltzing in. Yeah.
I feel pretty strongly that if we try to be sneaky, it's only going to get us in trouble.
I agree with that.
I totally agree.
Okay.
It's
It-
better
So
to
the
just be
non-sneaky
straightforward and
approach,
ask your
okay.
questions.
Wex, finish what you were saying.
It's better to be straightforward and just ask your questions.
And Flame, what did you say?
I said, so not the sneaky approach, and he looks disappointed.
But please, everyone, try to remember that these are fae creatures. They're not just bears. So they're bound by the word, but the word's not what it seems. So, like, think a little before you speak back.
Should we maybe put ointment on now since it's been a minute? Because we don't know how long this is going to be.
It's our last dose, but if you think it's a good idea, it might be the right time.
Well, I can imagine many situations where we walk in here and are detained and our things are taken away from us. So it seems better to have it on now than risk what may come.
That's a fair point.
Yeah. Let's say we use the Vicks Fapo rub before we go in, huh? There's-
All right. You all apply your cooling ointment upon your
Fapo rub. That was good.
put on your
Oh, yeah,
Vapo rub. And we're not sponsored by Vicks, but we would consider it. Vicks, I'm just saying, flirting with you.
That's okay.
You know, there's definitely some equipment I could stand to purchase for the Mythologue Vicks if we want to just officially canonize that as Vapo rub. Nevertheless, you guys put it on your way in. Okay, so here you are standing in this cave, looking around, got the Vapo rub on, you've got your dead body gift, you've got Astara up on your shoulders, Kian. She taps you on the head and she's like, if we had the right kind of cloak, we could almost pretend we were a bear.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. Maybe like a skin like Epiphany has with the wolf or something, but we just throw it over us and look like a bear.
Tiffany looks really dangerous with her wolf skin on, but she's
Sorry.
not. She is dangerous, but she's not scary.
That's a good way of putting it. If we were a bear, would you be the voice?
Yeah, I'd be like, "Roar."
That was pretty good.
So you guys are standing there, and the back of the cave wall is maybe a little more flat than what you would have predicted. But other than that, it's just the back of a cave. It's hard to tell how to get in. If anybody wants to roll investigation, taking a look around and see what you're supposed to do.
Nat 20.
Nice.
Oh, damn. You see, it almost looks too obvious, actually, once you look a little bit closer. There's one stone that basically just sticks out like a sore thumb as being fake. And it's just like this painted chunk of wood that's actually connected to some workings back behind. And touching it, you realize if you move this right now, that's what's going to happen. You're going to open the door. Is everyone ready?
I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk too much if that's okay with the rest of you. I don't really do the talking with animals. These kind. I don't. Any good luck.
Yeah, I think maybe Feely should take point on, negotiations with the fancy bears, if you don't mind.
I
Yeah,
can certainly do some of it, but I think some of you might be a little more eloquent than I am sometimes.
I'm happy to try to back you up. I have so many questions for this Bear King.
You know, I was really thinking-
Flame says, "Don't worry, you'll do fine," and pats Feely on the shoulder and gives her bardic inspiration.
Oh, they, them. Don't forget. Feely is they, them. Okay, so Feely, you've just received bardic inspiration. So anytime in the next 10 minutes, you can use an extra D6 add-on. And, okay. With that, you move the stone, the wood stone, and these two giant stone doors roll apart from each other, and you see a space like no other. Along the entire back of the space is cliff walls, much like the ones outside, only shimmering this time in torchlight instead of gloaming sunlight. You see these veins of minerals and precious metals and gems shot through black and brown and gray stone, iridescing in the firelight. And you see a couple different levels of, of like platforms in the cliff or whatever, where like the cliff goes up and then levels off and then goes up again. Along one side of the room, you can see that there's sort of a path along the cliff wall. Along the other side, you can see that there's a large fire with a large cooking pot over it. You see a big floor at the back of which, right, at the other end of the room from you is a raised dais with a long table, several gigantic, beautiful, fancy bears of different colors and fur types, sitting and standing around this long table on this raised dais. In front of the dais is another couple of tables, and then to the left, towards you from the cook pot, you can see a stage where there are bears playing beautiful music. It's peppy, it's fun, it's well harmonized. Sometimes it gets like a funny sound to it. Other times it sounds like melancholy. It just sort of weaves in and out of the atmosphere of the room. These bears are great. And there are several bears dancing to the music. And then on the other side, there's a ring where two bears seem to be squaring off to have some sort of a competitive fight. This place is amazing. Roll a perception check and see what else you notice.
That's a nat 20, a very loud one.
You all are made of nat 20s tonight. What the fuck is going on?
Except for my wisdom saves. I got an 18.
Ooh. Wow.
Sing.
24.
So it'd actually be a 21 with my mods.
Wow. Okay, looking around the room, further things that you notice are you see hanging, you see above this cook fire is a gigantic cauldron. I mean, just absolutely huge cauldron hanging above the cook fire, and hanging even higher above that, suspended from a rope attached to a pulley system, you see a cage. You don't see anything or anyone in the cage at the moment. You also see at the back up on the cliffs, you see that there is a place where a rope comes down from one of the cliffs and is attached at the top and at the bottom. Where it's attached at the bottom, you see that it's attached to like a rope net suspended over a pit. You can't really tell what's in the pit, but you can see little zzz of electricity, little blue sort of electrical energy, lightning zips, arcing up out of the pit here and there. And you also see that on the table of the bear court, on all of the tables at the bear court are every kind of animal and fruits and vegetables as well. But most disturbingly, there are honestly pieces of every kind of creature on the tables. And it is horrifying. The bears are wearing different articles of clothing that seem to be, taken, and a few of them have items that look like finery that may have been made for them or something like that, but mostly they seem to be things that have been pieced together, possibly taken and modified to be able to fit human clothes or humanoid clothes or elven clothes from a different court that have been modified so that the bears can wear them. But they're definitely all in their finery, and you can hear all their voices booming around. As the doors roll open and this scene greets you, you see that although the music continues to play, all of the rest of the room falls silent slowly. The booming and the rattling voices each sort of comes to a slow halt as all of these bears' faces look toward you. And then you hear one little voice. They're here, they've come! And one little bear up on this, jumping up and down.
And we brought a present.
Hello, friends. We did
Please.
bring a gift for all of you, but primarily the Bear King.
Why, that is very generous of you. You hear this booming voice coming out across the room, and as it does, all voices that had been continuing fall silent, and the band itself stops. Please, you are my guest. I am Leopold Gravnar, King of the Bears, and you have entered my home. Fortunately, you have brought me a gift to eat, so I don't have to eat you yet. I joke. Come in. Come in. Enjoy the hospitality of Leopold Gravnar.
I'm gonna
Try to
finish
insight
writing
on that.
down his speech and then laugh.
I'm sorry, Wex, what?
I said I'm gonna finish writing down his speech and then laugh at his joke. Like, way too late.
And Finnick, what did you say?
Oh, I think both Flame and I wanted to do an insight check.
Okay, and as he finishes talking, the tension in the room breaks. You hear a cheer rises amongst the majority of the bears, and then everything kind of goes back to its normal boisterousness. You can see that the referee over by the fight is starting the fight now, and everything has pretty much gone back to what it was, although there are definitely some bear eyes on you. Whoever wants to can roll their insight.
Ooh, nat 20. Woo!
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
whoa! Okay, I think that's the 5th or 6th nat 20 tonight, y'all. This is insane. I think it's 5.
I got a 15. 15.
Definitely at least
7.
5. All right. Feely, what?
17.
Wex?
That's a 6.
Kian?
I'm just trying to take it all in. I did not perceive well, and I'm still just like, these are a lot of bears.
Uh-huh. All right. Finnick?
12.
All right. So, Flame, nat 20. You realize that on one hand, it seems that the Bear King is completely genuine. He seems happy and entertained by your entrance into the party. When he says, fortunately, you've brought me a gift so I don't have to eat you, you realize that that's completely true. That if you had not come with food, you probably would be food. That just is a thing. The yet comment is definitely a joke and is also not a joke. And that's a little bit hard to tell how that's going to go. But you can tell that what he has in mind is entertainment. He wants to play with you.
So Flame will say, "Tread lightly, friends. He will not hesitate to eat us." He was not joking about that entirely.
Mental note.
Yeah, and everyone else, on your rolls, you pick up various versions of that. Also, with your insight, you can tell that, the bears here are accustomed to, bringing various beings here and cooking them in that pot and eating them for fun to music. This is just kind of what they do. So, it's obviously a very violent culture and haphazard. They're having a good time and everything seems very fancified and stuff, but you can still see, that there are blood and bones. Also with some of these perception and insight checks, you can see that there are bones of humanoids in and around the fire pit, around the cauldron and such. So it's a very fancy party being had in a very savage situation. And it's clear that it's, there may be a way through here where it's all fun and games, and there may not.
Did you say that there are other types of animals walking upright, not just bears, or did I misinterpret?
No, other than the gruff, you've seen gruff and bears that were animals walking upright. Okay. What I was saying is that you see all types of animal parts on the tables.
Gotcha.
So, okay. Well, so what are y'all going to do as you enter the room?
I am documenting everything. Like, just everything.
Okay. You also have the gift in your bag, right?
Yeah, Epiphany is going to...
I pulled it out and presented it already.
Oh, good. Okay.
Oh, have you brought that up to the... You went up to the raised dais with it?
I just brought it out after we heard the voice.
Okay, so you pulled out the dead body. It's large for you. Make a strength check, Wex.
Maybe I don't pull it out, actually. I'm guessing not. That's an 8.
So you reach in and you're like, okay, I'm going to get the thing out. And you pull it out and it's totally fine. You can feel its spines and everything. You can tell that because that was your intention and you pulled it out that it would come out. It comes out, and as soon as it's out of the bag, it's like, doosh, and just lands on top of you. You don't take damage, but it is humiliating. You are prone now, and you have the body of this thing on you. It's large. It's as big as Wex.
Yeah, I'm not very big.
Pinnacle scramble to help Wex if he sees him fall. Try and lift
Okay,
him
yeah.
up.
Epiphany will help too.
Did
Right,
the king
so-
see? Can anybody tell? Did the king see?
He seems really impressed. Yeah, that's good.
Epiphany will say, "It's okay, buddy. No worries."
Maybe it'll look bigger because I'm so small. Like, if maybe if one of you bigs were holding it, it wouldn't look so impressive.
Of course, yeah. This was the way it should have been presented.
Not to mention, it definitely looks more appealing to eat than you do. You're a little small and scrawny. So,
Fair point.
So Finnick and Epiphany and Wex managed to bring this creature up to the dais in front of the king. You see that the king is seated at the table. He's wearing a crown and a red cape. It's dirty and bedraggled, but was once a very, very fine red cape. Seated next to him, a lady bear wearing a beautiful mantle of silk, and also very dirty and bedraggled, but was once a beautiful, fine item. And then their young child, apparently their young child who is nearby and was the first one to have shouted your arrival when you got there. Other than that, there are a few other bears up there, including Crisoli and Matilda, who you had heard bickering with each other through the forest just before you came in. They are also seated at the head table with the king and presumably the queen. So how do you all address the table?
Epiphany will say, "Your greatness, we have brought you this very strange to us, but hopefully enticing to you gift."
My greatness. I like the sound of that. Everyone, from now on until further notice, everyone is to call me Your Greatness. No more Your Majesty. Thank you. I like this one a lot. I will take the Mescachu. That is the name of the animal.
Got you. We're so pleased that you like it, Your Greatness. And we're honored to be in the presence of such greatness. And Epiphany gives him that big, big tiefling smile and is really trying to like turn on her charm.
Go ahead and roll a general charisma check, Epiphany, with advantage. You've brought food. You've got a nice team here. Everyone's doing what they're supposed to.
So that is a 21. Thankfully, I had advantage because my first one was a nat 1.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Says you do have the right of it, and I am glad that you have been made aware of my reputation ahead of time. I am the greatest king of bears that there has ever been, and I shall become the bear king forever. That is my mission and my goal. In order to do so, I know that I shall follow the steps that are outlined in our story, and I will make friends with a little girl, and she will make me immortal, and I will be king for all time.
So, if you want to know, Kian did not go up on the dais. He's heard enough about this guy to feel a little threatened. So I'm sure the king has noticed Astara in him, but we're not up close enough to be bitten. Basically, like
Okay, all right, great.
closer to the door.
And right now, let's go ahead and do our 15-minute break.
Okay.
Oh, this is fun, y'all.
That was a great start.
Mhm. Welcome back to the Mythologue, episode 6. Before the break, our heroes have surmounted the challenges of Flame being lost in sorrow and depression in the forest, and they've made their way to the cave of the Bear King and found their way inside, and were able to approach on their own terms. They found the door, moved on into the room, and took possession of the space with confidence and generosity, giving the gift of this. The animal is called a Miskachu. That's the spiny, spiky, large badger-like creature that y'all killed for Leopold, the Bear King. You have now gone up to the table to meet him and been told that you won't be eaten quite yet, since you have brought this gift, and that you should eat, drink, make merry. There's one thing that I completely forgot to tell you guys that you could see on your Nat 20 perception rolls when you came into this room. And I have to say, I'm getting tired of all the Nat 20s, because it's going to just be like, okay, and then here's the overarching storyline and you win, okay? I mean, whatever. But anyway, well, the final thing that you guys do see in that room is behind the table, set into the cliffside, you see a portal. Unmistakably, a trans-dimensional portal for planar travel.
Would I know what that is?
I don't know, make an Arcana check. Finnick would definitely know what it is. Feely would definitely know what it is. Everybody else can make an Arcana check.
That's a 12.
You probably have a clue that might be what it is. You can imagine that I mean, it's like, oh, yeah, especially having heard that he had a portal. You
Okay.
probably associate that as being that with a 12. What'd everyone else get?
17.
Yeah, so
9.
Flame, and what about you, Kian?
I only rolled a 10 perception. Did I still see it?
Oh no, probably not. Although it's right there. Yeah, actually you do. You see the portal.
Okay, well, I got a non-natural one for my Arcana, so don't worry about me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can't. It just looks like light behind the bears. Flame, you don't know what it is. It looks like light behind the bears in a funny shape. But yeah, so you're still kind of standing in front of the Bear King, and he gestures towards a couple of his minions to come down, and they take the Miskachu from you, and he says, "Now, you will eat and you will drink. You will consume at my tables, and you will play games with us, and then you shall have whatever it is you seek, because I know that you came here seeking something, didn't you?"
Well, apart from being in the presence of your greatness, we are seeking something. But we can certainly address that after games and meals.
I knew it. I knew you were seeking something, and because you are mortals from the material plane, I think I know what it is you seek, don't I?
I'm certain you do. You're very wise and intelligent. So it can't be that hard for you in all your greatness to know what is we want.
My greatness. Do not forget, this is what you call me now. Your greatness. He picks up a haunch from what looks like it might be a piece of a horse or something and just tears into it. He says, "Yes, indeed. In my greatness, I know that what you want is to walk behind me here and make your way home. Am I all right?"
I'll
That is
lean
true,
over.
Your Grace.
I'll
Yes,
lean over to Kian and be like,
Wow, he's really good.
that is very much what we would enjoy, but only after partaking in this wonderful hospitality your greatness has offered us.
You are correct. We will eat and we will drink before we deal, and then we will make deals and play games, because that is what we do. Yeah. Now, Matilda, darling, get your stupid Chrisley to show them around. She says, "Oh, I'd rather if somebody else showed them around. Chrisley's so cranky." He says, "No, I want it to be Chrisley. They need to experience his energy. Now enjoy the party." And he just shuts off his attention to you and immediately begins like playing with his kid and laughing with his friend on the other side of his wife. She continues to look at you for a long second, and then she leans back and she kind of tugs on Chrisley and she says, "Go," and you can kind of see her making some movements, and Chrisley comes down. Now this is the dark black brown, shorter haired, smaller than Matilda, and much smaller than Leopold, but not the smallest bear in the room. And he's wearing that purple sort of close cap and the scarf. He comes down, he says, "Hello. You know you are not in the right place, right?"
Well, we've been welcomed by his greatness to be here, so I do think we are in the right place.
His greatness is... He's the greatest, but it is because of the number of things he doesn't have to deal with that I deal with for him. So, remember, you will not win this game, and you will not make this deal, and we will eat you tonight. And until then, you better look like you're having fun.
Well,
Tiffany will kind of bare her teeth at him a little bit and say, "I'm sure you're very important, and I'm sure that you are just giving us a kind warning."
Roll an intimidation check real quick.
That is a 19 because I have, hang on a second. It's not, oh, no. That's a 22 because I have proficiency in
Okay. He looks just as sneeringly superior and menacing, but he stops saying things and basically just says, "Come here," and begins walking around with you and showing you the different parts of the room. He points out the two bears that have now been fighting for a good little while. They're both quite bloodied. Their fancy garments lay in piles next to the ring. He says, "You should get in there. If you get in there, he will be very entertained. Fight each other. It will be so funny." He's really just not fun. He's just a terrible host. So relentlessly mocking you, he continues walking around and showing you different things. He says, "This is where we have some of the guests dive into the pit of the abyss. You will love it." And then he points out where that one pit that you saw that seemed to be sparking with electricity. He says, "These are the king's eels. You will never guess what we do with them, but you won't have to." And it continues on like that. He shows you the cauldron where, of course, he will intend to cook you up and eat you, and the cage above the cauldron, where of course you'll be kept until such time as it's time to cook you up and eat you. At the end of your tour, you're back in front of the dais. The king is done giving you his attention, and Chrysali kind of like thumbs his nose at you as he walks up the dais, and he says, "Good luck. Enjoy the food."
Epiphany will kind of turn to everyone and be like, "Well, this seems to be going well."
Is that what you call this? Pretty sure that one wants to eat us.
They all want to eat us.
Not about as well as I could have imagined it would.
I'm fairly certain the ones that don't want to eat us want to feed us to those eels he was talking about, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Which doesn't seem better.
I do think that there's a chance that if we can show ourselves to be good players of games, that maybe they'll respect us enough to actually be making a deal.
I do love a good game.
Does that mean one of us has to fight a bear or each other?
Maybe we could be fighting each other and making a great show of it.
That sounds scary, but kind of funny. I just noticed something, you guys. After that one bear went back up to the king, after he showed us around, he said something to the king, and the king started looking at me, and he hasn't stopped looking at me.
Yeah, he did mention that he was waiting for a little girl. It's part of his master plan.
I heard that.
Don't think we need to be worrying about that right now. All we need to worry about is finding the way out of here.
Well, the way out is the portal. I don't think there's any way around trying to play the game.
Does it look like we could just make a break for the portal? Like, is it guarded or?
Well, it's directly behind the king, and it's got him, his guards, his wife, Chrysali, and his son are all kind of like around that area. So yeah, I mean, it's like at the back of the dais. It would be, I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying it's the hardest.
Suicide? Yeah.
It would be the hardest place to
Probably
get-
not impossible to chuck Astara through the portal though before they stop us. Maybe. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
and he's gonna do that.
I do think it would be challenging, but I do want to keep Astara sort of in our back pocket, because if he needs her, and listen, Astara, we'd never harm you, but if he thinks we would, that might come in handy for us.
I think I understand what you mean, and I was thinking something kind of like that we could use it, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
it's very important to me that you know that we love you dearly and we are going to protect you and get you out of here.
Okay. Well,
I do have the power to create illusions. That could come in handy.
That could be useful because I'm not really comfortable with the idea of gambling someone's life at this point. So maybe we find a plan that's a little less hinging on danger for someone who, no offense, Astara, but isn't as defended as some of us.
well, I don't think it would be our first idea, but it could be an option if we need it.
So perhaps talk about our first idea instead of risking a child's life, guys?
I didn't say we were going to be risking her life. I just thought maybe if we looked like we were. There's a difference, I swear.
Why is that the first thing you brought up in front of the child?
Because she seems strong enough to handle it, unlike you apparently.
It's okay, Kian. I'm not scared or mad, but I'm really glad you're looking out for me. It's one of the reasons I feel so safe.
Yeah,
I
no
could
offense, but go
I
ahead.
could create an illusion that looks like Astara, and we could put that illusion in the cage, and maybe then we could sneak into the portal.
Oh, we could put Astara in Wex's backpack. Just for a minute.
Ah, yes.
And not out during the commotion?
I mean, we are kind of talking about using a kid as a bargaining chip and stuffing her in a bag. Should we maybe not start here? Let's just go get some drinks and not try to grab attention at the moment, huh?
I mean, the likelihood that Astara's whereabouts and reason for being here are going to come up is pretty darn high.
At this moment, you hear that the sound in the room rises to a fever pitch. There's a roar of cheering from over by the fighting pit, and one of the bears has gone down and is sort of like bleeding unconsciously onto the stone floor, while the rest of the bears are savagely cheering around, and the one who felt that bear is standing with their arms up overhead and they're with their mouth wide open. It is a terrifying and absolutely vicious sight to behold. And it's weird that it's like this fighting ring where, there's a boundary it isn't as if this little ribbon around the circle could possibly keep that bear in. But these bears seem to be such a strange example of a being that is like so incredibly vicious and savage, but is also like respecting these norms, right? Like this vicious, angry, savage bear is like walking around inside this little circle of ribbon as if it actually contains him. And all the rest of the bears are just going completely wild. 3 of them jump into the ring and pick up the one that has been felled, and hoist them out and drag them off. You see them kind of disappear into a crack that leads deeper into the mountain from the cave, and the pool of blood remaining there in the center of the ring, which now stands empty.
Feely would have for sure started like cheering just as wildly with all the bears. Like,
all right, roll a charisma check and see if any of the bears notice and are harmed by you.
18.
Okay. Yeah, a couple of the bears are like, you get a couple of looks like, oh, you're pretty cool, right? Yeah, and you get a slap on the back from one of the bears, and you've got your arms in the air and you're figuring out how to do the roar and stuff. It's working out real well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But now the fighting ring is empty, and these slavering lunatics on the outside of the fighting ring who just saw one of their number get viciously beaten down, now they're hungry for more. Fight, 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 next fight, 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 next fight, 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 who will it be? And you can hear just like cries of, pressure. You should go out there, mortal. And, different people volunteering their friends, but nobody volunteering themselves.
Are these bears crouched in tracksuits? Because that's totally how I picture all of them. I'm just picturing a lot of tracksuits and a lot of crouching.
Some of them are crouched in tracksuits for sure. Absolutely. With like.
Yes. All right.
If we're just kind of mingling around and standing around, I think Flame would probably get bored and go stand over and check out the band or something.
Okay. Going over toward the band, you notice that these players are extremely great at their instruments. You see that there is basically like a hollowed out log that's been strung up as a bass. There's a piece of sinew connecting, the end of the headstock to the bottom of the hollowed out log, and it's being expertly fretted and plucked by a bear in a little fedora cap. You see that there are several different kinds of drums, and some of them are very light and high sounding and quiet, and some of them are very like but basically like the bear band is kind of like what Rusted Root wanted to be, you know? I mean, kind of like really sounds like that, like really.
With like taiko drums.
Yeah, it's like tribal and psychedelic and, you know, exciting and at the same time peaceful and, you know, weird, jammy for sure.
Can I see roll an insight to see if I can tell if they would be opposed to me just jumping in with them?
Roll an insight check.
Four.
Oh, you're 4. Okay. You have absolutely no doubt that there would be nothing whatsoever wrong with jumping up there and just playing. You could probably even just grab one of their instruments, but you know, you could play your own too. They seem very inviting. Very inviting.
Flame jumps up there and starts jamming along on his guitar.
Okay, roll a performance check, Flame. Leaping up onto the stage, it's almost as tall as the raised dais where the king is. It's a large stage, and these are clearly well-honed
fucking 20.
Now, oh my God! You motherfuckers are insane.
So it's actually a 22.
Believe this. Has anybody checked the chat on the video?
No.
Everyone says has such hot dice tonight. Yeah, Kaylin, absolutely. It's insane. Okay, it's shocking. All the bears stop playing for just a second as Flame, you take the center of the stage, and do you want to describe for us what this looks and sounds like?
I think he'd probably just at first try to jam along with the bears, but as he realizes that he knows
stop. They stop at the second you get up there.
Well, okay, then I'm like, go, keep going.
They're like, oh, okay, all right, and they like shamble their way back into the progression.
And so then he kind of at first kind of figures out, like, is slowly acclimating himself, but as he figures out that he knows what's going on, he really starts to get into it and let go, and then just
you've been working on this song for a few days, this right?
This is the music I've been hearing.
Open and shut. You have been hearing this. These tunes have been lilting through the forest for you for days. So all of a sudden it comes to you, and you're like, yeah, got it. And you wail into this ridiculous solo and melt everyone's face off in the entire room. The room erupts into just thousands of bear cheers. There's not thousands of bears, but they cheer thousands of times. There's roars and growls and screams and squeals. It sounds like it might be a feeding frenzy, but really it's clear that it's just a celebration. The rest of the band just comes 2, 3, 4, and rocks back in with you, and the room just goes absolutely nuts. It almost kind of like pulls a little bit of the energy off of the fighting ring, where those that were like really pushing and slobbering for another fight now really have kind of got their attention captivated, and you can keep playing for probably a good little while. You've got everyone's attention in the room. Is there anything that anybody wants to do while that's happening?
I'd want to go grab a drink and whatever food might seem palatable / not humanoid.
Yeah, I'll go with Feely.
Alrighty. Making your way around to the different tables that are in front of the dais, you find there are, roll perception or investigation, or honestly, I'll let you roll a nature check too if you'd like instead. Any of those 3. Anyone who's looking for food and drink.
23 investigation.
All right.
24 perception.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I got 22 perception. I'm grabbing a 22 just to make sure.
What the fuck, everybody?
Eyes
Just
wide
to make up
open.
for that session that we rolled exclusively sevens.
Yeah.
I know. It's true.
We'll hit all the numbers one session at a time. Just
Oops,
I
all
had
20.
23 perception. It was a 23 on a nat 20 again. Also.
Another nat 20?
Yeah, dude.
That's 7. That's at least 7 tonight. What
That's
the
crazy.
fuck?
We
Yeah.
should look at the alignment of the planets and make this like a holiday in our campaign because we're on fire.
Absolutely. It's May 3rd. I don't know what that means. I will say, like, the rest of the day had a tremendous amount of like weird energy and bad luck, and so maybe it was just safe enough, I guess. It's like,
Yeah.
Which, is wild to me because, like, it was not a full moon this week. That was last week.
yeah.
And I'm convinced that, like,
Super weird. It was super weird out all day. It was preparing us for the Oops All 20s episode of the Mythologue. Here we go. 100% of you rolled over a fucking 20 on that. That is amazing.
That said, I am not the astrology variety of gay bitch. So if anyone out there watching is, feel free to tune in.
Right. Please let us know if you have any idea what in the hell is going on in the
I'm consulting CoStar right now, so
Good job.
If Caitlin is still watching, I know you're somewhere in the mix with astrology, so hit us up, drop that in the chat.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay. So looking for food, looking at the food. The first thing that you all notice is that there's a lot of stuff that isn't animal parts. There's fruits and berries piled up high, all these fey berries, the big fuzzy ones that you guys had found, and the shiny ones, and some of the ones that there's plant parts that came off of like the eyeball looking plants and stuff like that. There's a couple of them that you can see that have the eyeballs in them, that are like, wide and unblinking now. But with everyone going over a 20, I will say that each of you notices as you look that everything really is coated in just like a sheen of blood and slime and mist of, as if just like the splattering of all of the savagery that takes place in this room has definitely covered the pineapple and the berries and the eyeball fruit and all of the stuff that could have been anywhere close to edible is definitely looking pretty scary to the further investigation. As a DC 20, I will tell you that, like, bottom line, everything here is covered in blood.
Astara, I don't think you probably want to eat any of this. We do have the good berries from earlier if you're hungry.
I'm still okay from the one that I got earlier. I don't feel hungry at all, but I feel like he said we were supposed to eat though.
That's fair.
Weird.
Maybe, I'm not opposed to trying some, but it does look a little troublesome. If something happens to me, can y'all make sure I'm okay?
oh, this again.
Ian. Okay.
It's a fair assessment, Epiphany. I'm prone to agree with Astara. We do have to kind of follow the whims of the king if we do want to get out of here. But
I'll find a beverage.
that's a good idea.
With all your 20 pluses, you do find that there is an urn of fresh water. That is fresh water. I mean, it's unspoiled. You smell it. You can smell it very carefully. It doesn't smell like it has blood or anything in it. It's a closed stone urn, of fresh water where you can just like kind of open a valve on the side and pour out fresh water. There isn't anything like a cup, but everyone's kind of just like opening the valve and lapping it. But it seems to be perfectly safe and healthy water.
I'll pull out my water skin and take a sip of that. Yeah.
Me too.
Okay, yeah, taking a sip of the fresh water, it tastes wonderful. Are you gonna feel your skins?
Yeah.
Totally.
I'll having not really been concerned about food myself and just kind of trying to take note of everything, I'll go over to Ian and say like, I'll supervise if you want to try the food. I can certainly record what happens, so in case we need to speak to someone afterwards, we can give them a detailed account of what might be wrong with you.
You know, I do appreciate that. I'm a little concerned about losing my facilities again. I know that was a little troublesome last time I pulled a stunt like that, but perhaps I can do some magics and figure out if anything is very wrong with the food for sure.
Honestly, it feels very rude to just like not accept the hospitality of the food. So I'm probably just gonna dig in a little bit.
I guess feel free, but please stay close in case it does have an effect on you. Is that fair?
Yeah, no worries. Wex can keep an eye on me, and well, I am from here, so maybe that'll help.
I'll like climb on a chair and be like a little bit uncomfortable close, and like my notebook out, like just
Don't
staring
think I
at
care
you.
how uncomfortably close Waxline is. I think just like Feely just accepts that is a part of research.
Are you feeling meat or more of the you know, the fruit and vegetable variety?
I'll probably be trying some fruit. It's a little more my style. You know, meat's fine, but the fruits are just truly the sweetness of them. Nothing's as decadent as that.
That's fair. If you want to, you know, wipe anything off, just be discreet about it. We don't want to be offending anyone, but yeah, have at it.
Okay,
Might
so-
I recommend washing the fruit off in the clean water? It seems like it couldn't hurt.
Seems like a brilliant idea to me. Honestly, I'm a little embarrassed I didn't think of it myself. So glad you're here, Wax. And I'll like let Astara take another sip of the water skin, and then I'll hand my water skin to Feely.
Do I think that would be construed as rude?
Roll a history check.
Okay.
Or insight. Actually, you could roll history or insight, whichever you choose.
I'll go with history as an 18.
Okay. It definitely could be.
Nah, thank you, Kian, for the attempt, but that really, like, you guys, I need you to remember that this isn't your culture, and that's kind of weird.
All right.
And I'll find whatever fruit looks the most familiar to me. And
Okay. Yeah, you recognize some of the fruit and try to pick one that's a little bit less carnage encapsulated. And you take a bite of the fruit. And next to you, Astara kind of picks up a piece of fruit and sort of like pretends to eat it. But she only got an 8 on her performance check, so she doesn't do a very good job. Fortunately, she is not who the king is looking at right now. Okay, as you begin eating the fruit, Feely, it tastes exactly as you would expect. There is definitely like a bitter, nasty, not okay coating over a really nice piece of fruit. And everything in you screams to wipe it off or wash it off or anything because it's really gross. But you eat it, you do it, and inside it is just fruit, and you're able to like mask the flavor of the nastiness on the outside as you get into the inside. And you're like, okay, this is okay. I'll have you roll a Constitution saving throw, however.
18 again.
Okay. It hits your stomach all right. You know, it's the smell occasionally gives you a little bit of a no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, and it's fine. And you do it. You make it through the whole piece of fruit. Looking up, it doesn't look like the king is paying a lot of attention to you guys during the course of the time that you're eating, but other bears are. The queen has her eye on you the whole time you're in the room, as does Chrysalie most of the time.
The expressions on your face were delightful while you ate that.
Is the food okay? I'll be trying some meat if you think it's safe.
It seems perfectly fine to me, but only try it if you have a strong stomach. It's got a little bit of a taste to it.
I would think you'd know me long enough to know I'll try just about anything, but I do appreciate the heads up.
You know, I think I have known you long enough to know you'd try anything. I kind of figured that out about 5 minutes in.
All right, Keen, you find a piece of meat. Are you looking for something of a particular kind of animal?
Yeah, probably like a non-humanoid mammal would be his first choice.
Okay. You find various pieces that look like, well, you find chunks of meat that don't have any skin or fur or anything attached. And so you find red meat and also pieces that look like, you know, hunks of fowl or of, you know, something else. Hard to tell. Whitish meat. But then you also find pieces of things that look like they could be goats, horses, more exotic looking stuff with like strange markings on the fur, whatever. There's several options.
I'll probably grab some red meat. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you pick up a chunk of just generic red meat and sniff it. It seems fairly fresh. And taking a bite, you get that same experience of there being something on the outside that's just not okay. It is completely raw. It's totally gross. I mean, it's totally raw meat. It may not be gross to Kian, maybe normal. But you can tell that there's that sort of sheen of slime of like oldness on the outside of it.
Okay. After his first bite, I think he'd like cast Produce Flame and try to cook the meat a little bit, but he'd continue to eat it if no one minded that he was cooking it with his hand.
Okay. The king looks over. You mortals of the material plane, so whiny, so weeny baby. You will never make it through the games.
Sorry, didn't want to bother you. Just wanted to make sure I wasn't doing anything. You're right, I'm probably a little weaker than you, but what games did you have in mind?
Oh, you're not gonna be any bother, little mortal. You're adorable. And we're not ready yet for the games. You're just going to have to continue to enjoy the party. This music, delightful, is it not?
Indeed. The greatness.
Aha, my greatness. I love to hear it. Thank you. Points for you, little whiny mortal. And continue to eat and enjoy. Enjoy. And you can cook it up if you need to. It's so cute.
Thank you.
Does anybody else want their food cooked? Aha. He looks around and the bears begin to like mockingly cheer about wanting their food cooked. A couple of them like sarcastically walk up with hunks of meat, and they're like, "Hey, cook my food, yeah." I want to be like a mortal human.
Don't knock it till you try it, I guess, but
Make a persuasion check.
okay. Sorry, my dice was cocked. I'm not cheating. Persuasion that charisma have. Okay. 19, but not due to my own charisma.
You say don't knock it till you try it, and one of the bears kind of like glances around and walks over to you, and she's like, "Hi, I want to try it. Give me the try. Let me try it."
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. And just like holds his hand underneath the meat that the bear is holding.
Her gargantuan paw comes out. This is the closest one's been to you. Her hand is so fucking big. Her claws, each one is as long as your finger, and they glide gently across your hand as she takes this chunk of cooked meat from you. She takes a bite of it. It's not terrible, I guess, but it tastes like it went through fire. It's kind of terrible. It's so much better fresh. It's like it's just not fresh anymore. Why you eat it like that?
I'm sorry, but if you don't eat cooked foods or meats, do you mind telling me what exactly the purpose of the cauldron hanging over the fire is?
Oh, that's for entertainment usually. They make the fun sounds when they get in. And they try to swim around and things. It's just sometimes we take bets on if one of them will get out, and then you can see they get in the fire. Sometimes they dance around in there. It's very funny. It's very entertaining.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thanks for explaining that to me.
Yeah, sometimes if you make them push each other out of the cage into the pot, it's even better. They get really upset.
So you're telling me you'd never had meat at the temperature that fresh meat is at, you know? Like, this meat's been sitting on a table. When your game is first killed, it's like, it's hot, you know what I mean? Like, you're warmer than you would be if you were dead on this table. I'm just trying to get it back to as close to fresh as it can be, you know what I mean?
Well, sometimes I'll eat the food when it's hot, if it's fresh killed, or even if it's from the pot, but it doesn't have that charcoal taste on the outside. That's disgusting.
So you've got a problem with my cooking, not with my general technique, I see.
Yeah, little man, that's what it is. You're a terrible cook.
Well, thanks for the feedback, I suppose. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you're welcome. My name is Winifred. Please enjoy your cooking experience, though. Don't anyone else try it. It tastes like charcoal.
Oh, come on, Winifred. Okay. Yeah, Kian will try to just like play it off like they're buddies kind of thing, but is internally like, I cook just fine.
A little bit butthurt.
Yeah.
You take 4 points of butthurt damage.
No.
You don't. But that would be a really fun damage type.
Oh my gosh.
So you all make your way around and kind of, who else is going to try to eat? Oh, Kian, you can do a constitution save.
Okay, yeah, sure. Oh no, 9.
Okay. While you're having this conversation, over the course of this conversation with Winifred about cooking, you try to fight it, but the nausea just becomes like more and more and more intense. You realize that some of the meat must have been spoiled or something. It's to the point right now, as you complete your conversation with Winifred, you're either going to vomit right here, or you're going to run and vomit in the corner.
Okay.
Or somewhere else. You have about 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm definitely not intending to vomit on a bear. That seems like an embarrassing call to make. I think I do not have time to remove Astara from me, so she's gonna get a show, but I'll try to make it to the corner.
Okay, all right, you run. You try, make an athletics check to get to the corner while holding your cue.
Yeah.
Slow down.
Thank you for advice, Wax.
You get almost to the wall behind you. It's kind of the least populated wall, right where the entrance exit is. You get almost there, but the last several feet is just a streak of vomit. There's nothing that you can do about it. Blah. You hold it up. It goes. You can hear the bears laughing behind you as you and Astar make your way eventually to the wall, and you're heaving for a good 5 minutes, and really, really not feeling good after that. We're gonna say that for the next 10 minutes you have
like
disadvantage.
poison. Okay.
Yeah, disadvantage on ability checks.
Okay. While I'm like dry heaving and actually like vomiting, I would try to like wave someone over to take Astara so that she doesn't have to just deal with this anymore.
She's mostly just worried. She doesn't seem to be like horrified really or disrupted by the experience. She's just like, Kian, are you okay? And you like try to answer her and be like, yeah, but it's just like, there's nothing you can do. All right, Epiphany, what are you doing during all this? And Flame.
Mostly distracted by the music and happily because she is like completely horrified by all of the dead bodies laying around. She is very much a non-meat eater. So yeah, definitely more paying attention to the music. But she will go scoop up Astara and kind of swing her over towards where people are dancing and maybe dance with her for a little bit.
Shouldn't somebody stay with Kian though?
Oh, Kian's used to this sort of thing. He'll be okay. He'll be all right.
I can watch after him. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, as Wex arrives on the scene, Epiphany and Astara go to dance. Feely, what are you doing?
I do think in the meantime, Feely would want to play up to the bears like, oh yeah, the mortals from the material plane, they really can't like handle their stuff a lot of the time, and they really think they can.
Yeah, you go ahead and roll a quick charisma check.
Epiphany's whole MO here is just to look like she's having the best time of her life.
Big smiles, dancing around,
Yeah.
spinning Astara in circles on the dance floor, cheering wildly between every song. Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, and Astara joins right in with you. She's a very yes and improv companion. She just acts like she's not even worried about Kian or anything. She keeps trying to pretend to eat food, which she's terrible at. But but yeah, no, it works out really well. Feely, I'm sorry, go ahead, what?
All I can roll tonight is 18s, so.
Oh, awesome. What were you rolling for again? You'll have to remind me.
Charisma to try and just like.
Oh, right, to schmooze the bears and make them, and yeah, absolutely. So, no, you have them in gales of laughter. They think you're hysterical, and they're like, you know, you're definitely like gratuitously mocking your companions for being dorks from the material plane, and that goes over really well with the bear crowd. They're pretty much, that's all they're like eating out of your hand pretty much at this point. Flame, what are you up to?
I think Flame is just going to keep playing with the bear band. After the initial sort of introduction, he'll kind of chill out and just be more of like just a supporting role, not being so flashy, but he's going to take that opportunity to sort of get the lay of things from that vantage point and see if he can glean any new information. Just
Okay.
keeping an eye on things like keeping track of where the party is at, but also like seeing if he can figure out any ideas on how to make it out of here alive.
Right. Totally. Roll an insight check.
11.
With an 11, you do notice that the king is drinking pretty heavily, and that during the course of the night, he's getting a little bit more jolly and sloppy, and also a little bit more quick-tempered. You notice him snap at Chrysoli a couple of times. You notice him snap in annoyance at his son. But then in between those little tiny episodes, those little flashes of anger, you see that he's, jovial and kind of like getting to be a little bit of a goofy drunk over the course of the performance.
Okay.
That's about what you get. Looking around perceptively, go ahead and roll perception and see if there's anything you can see.
7. I think my streak is over.
Right. So yeah, you've noticed basically all that there is to notice. You get another look at the portal that's behind the Bear King set into the cliff wall. It's, it's there. It seems like pretty far for how close it is what I'll say. Yeah. That's about what
Okay.
you've got. Wex, what are you doing?
Just helping Kian. Well, documenting what's happening to Kian and helping in any way that I can.
Okay. And as you're documenting everything, I'll let you, and just kind of chilling with Kian and looking around, I'll let you read over your notes and see if you can glean any new insight from the things that you've already written down.
That is a 4.
You almost confuse yourself more reading notes of things that you don't actually remember happening, and you're like, wait, when did that happen? And then you end up flipping a couple pages back trying to get it figured out. And so yeah, that doesn't help you, but you still manage to help Kian and accurately document everything that happens with him as he is metabolizing the horrifying whatever the hell that was that he probably shouldn't have been eating.
Again.
Finnick, what are you doing?
Yeah, I would say under the cover of Kian running off to vomit and Feely making a joke of it, Finnick's been poking around the way Stara was and not actually eating. And so as Feely says, these mortals, he'll kind of make a point to be like, and act like he's having a little trouble eating it. Like, but he hasn't.
Roll a performance check. We'll roll it with advantage because Feely has them all charmed.
$18?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it looks like you're eating. They think you're eating it. They definitely do, and they laugh at you and mock you relentlessly for having so much trouble with it. But you're not eating it. You don't need to.
So he's acting like kind of sick, but he's actually paying attention to his configuration and seeing if it syncs up with the portal. Like, is it having a reaction? Is there anything he can?
Roll a cartographer's tools check for me.
Oh, sorry, 13.
You can find it with your configuration, but you can't link to it. It's kind of like a Wi-Fi that you don't have the password for. So you can dial in and find and locate the energy of the portal and that it's there. But as of yet, you're not able to control it or identify where it's currently set to go or anything like that about it. But good call. Good job. Okay, so while all of that is going on, everybody roll an insight check.
There we go.
I truly cannot roll anything but an 18.
I just got one too.
Got an unclean 20.
I got a 17.
17.
I got a 22.
I got a
actually. I
2.
rolled an 18.
All right, Flame, way to hold down the lower end. Okay. Thank you. I just want to say, if you don't have DMI right now, please take it for being the only fucking person to roll under a 15 tonight.
He's also killing it on stage. I mean, how much is he supposed to?
Totally killing it on stage. Okay. So with these high roll and insight checks, I'll say that as a group, and definitely in the upper 20s, you all, or the over 20s, you all are noticing that the bears that there's like a heightened energy that's sort of mounting. And Flame probably doesn't notice it because he's definitely part of it. The band is playing a little like harder and faster. The dancers are dancing a little bit more feverishly. 2 more bears have gotten into the fighting pit and they're fighting. The king is drunk and starts pounding the table at intervals while he's talking. Other bears are getting drunk and rowdy. Somebody knocks over a stool. And things are... You can feel that the energy in the room is starting to heighten and intensify, and that things are getting just a little bit wild in here. And looking around the room, those of you that have over 20, you see that the king's son, Bartholomew, looks a little... For one thing, the look on his face, he looks older than he seems. And he looks like done with it. Like he's kind of fed up, like has that teenager vibe a little bit about his parents' fucking court and their whole culture and everything. But you can see that he has definitely a certain air about him where he feels fed up with this scene. And as it gets more nutso down here, you can just see that he's like one hard eye roll after another, basically. The other thing that you notice is that although much, much better cloaked, this same sentiment is shared by his mother. Meanwhile, pretty much everybody else in the room seems to be just having a revelrous, wonderful time, except for Chrysoli, who repeatedly is just looking at each and every one of you and sneering, and occasionally looks at Astara with something that might be interpreted as greed.
Okay, was that what we all recognized or just what the...
So everyone recognized the heightening of the energy in the room. People with over 20 recognized that Bartholomew was, people, I will say over 17 noticed that Bartholomew was eye rolling. People over 20 noticed that Magthilda, which is Magthilda, and Chrysoli, which is Krysoli, are also both sort of not involved in the revelry. Magthilda is also in that sort of eye roll mode and seems to be pretty like had it fed up with the scene. And Chrysoli, you see, is looking at all of you with just menace and venom, and looks at Astara occasionally with something like greed.
I think Finnick might make his way over to Wex and Kian and just pretend like he's checking on Kian and ask them, "You guys get that weird air in the room?"
Yeah, it's pretty thick. I feel like lunch before it's lunch.
I think Epiphany will start making her way over to Finnick and just look at him and be like, "Did you happen to notice the way that Chrysoli is looking at Astara?"
I didn't, but had a bad feeling about that one from the start.
Yeah, I think we need to try to I don't know what, but things seem to be getting a bit out of hand.
It seems like whatever it was supposed to happen is building to that moment that it's about to happen.
I agree.
Good time to regroup, possibly.
Feely
Subtly.
actually wants to head towards Bartholomew, being the only one that they noticed was eye rolling over it.
Okay. So those of you that are in the regroup mode, I think that's, we have lost Epiphany for a moment, but Finnick will revisit you two in that conversation in just a sec. Kian, you're done puking. And although you still have disadvantage on your ability checks at this moment, you can make your way back into the room if you want to rejoin any of your friends, Wex, whatever, you can be part of that.
We're all together.
Yeah, so
to join me by Kian.
Oh, okay. All right, great.
but
Okay.
I'll say we can go. We can head back into the room as we talk if we want to keep an eye on what's going on. I think I'll be okay now.
Okay, and Feely, Bartholomew is kind of at the edge of the dais. Nearby him is a guard standing at the front, not corner. They don't really have, it doesn't really have corners, but just like at the front end of the dais. And the guard doesn't really seem to be paying a lot of attention to Bartholomew. He's more back by the wall, just really sulking, kind of in a hard sulk. The person you've seen look his way the most is his mom, but at the moment, his mom is pretty distracted with her frustration for her husband. So what's going to be your mode of approach?
It would just be like a casual strolling towards Bartholomew and an opening line of, "There's quite a lot going on, isn't there?"
Yeah, I guess.
Quite a lot of nothing, or
No, I just hate it.
why's that?
It's gross. Dad is always so, he's just so boastful. He's always bragging, and whenever we have guests, he usually just eats them. And we try to play games and have fun times, and sometimes I like them, and then they get eaten, and I just get mad that it has to go this way all the time.
Have you ever approached your father, his greatness, with your opinions on it?
You can never approach my dad with an opinion. It's just not done.
I mean, certainly you could. You're next in line. Do you understand the power that you hold as his son?
There's no next in line. He's going to be immortal.
He might be immortal, but that might just mean he's going to hold dominion over a larger group and maybe give you power over this smaller area.
Oh, I never thought of that. Roll a persuasion check for me, Philly.
Oh, sweet. I have 24.
Well, it's not an 18.
No.
He says, what's your name?
My name's Philly Pendula Tenebris, but you can call me Philly if you'd rather.
Philly, I never thought about it, but my dad is always saying that I'm not going to get any inheritance of a crown or anything, and I will only ever have this prince crown. But if he becomes a powerful enough king, he will need my help.
He will, especially if you've shown yourself to be a competent future leader. And truly, how can you be a competent future leader if you're too afraid to be saying what's on your mind and what you think?
You're right. I should be more involved in eating the guests.
Or
I will earn my
perhaps,
father's respect.
but perhaps, if you don't like the eating of the guests, standing up for that, if that's not like interesting to you.
Well, I don't know. I've never really got involved, but I don't like it so much. I like the dancing part better.
Why don't you keep my name out of it, but why don't you suggest that maybe a more dance and performanceful sort of thing would be what you'd be fancying, and maybe suggest that, yeah, I've seen how some of you have been eyeing a little Stara over there. You could suggest that maybe we're the arrival of your group's next age, of your father being immortal and coming into more power, and you reigning over here, and maybe this could be a great test run of that. And we can do all the dancing you want and like a lot of ceremonial fancy things.
And you think we could talk my dad into not eating the guests, but instead becoming a stronger king through his friendship with your little girl?
That does seem to be what His Greatness mentioned might have been.
And are you're going to give my dad the little girl?
Well, what do you mean give?
Well, he'll want to keep her.
Keeping her like here forever.
Forever?
And how would that help him?
Well, it's in the folk tales that when he makes friends with a little girl, it'll unlock the rest of his power or something. He's been talking about it my whole life. I mostly just tune him out.
I'd love to hear more about that in particular from him. Do you think he'd be amenable to a conversation about it?
Oh, well, you see Bartholomew turns and he looks at his dad, who is kind of reeling, clutching his goblet in one claw and trying to make his way through a joke. He says, I don't honestly think Dad is up for any conversation right now. But perhaps if you live until tomorrow, we could talk about it then. And at this moment, Leopold stands up. He says, Leopold, His Greatness has an announcement. Everybody be quiet, music off. Everybody fights off. Everybody, it's time to play games and make deals. It is time for you to come closer to me now and bring your little girl. I like her. Come here. Little girl, what is your name? Tell it to the king now. She steps forward and with absolute, complete confidence and bravery, she says, my name is Astara. Astara. That's very pretty. And you want to be friends with the king, don't you? I've never met a king before, Your Greatness, but I would very much like to be friends. I'm rolling her deception, but it went on the floor. Okay. She got an 11. He says, oh, you're scared of me, aren't you? I can tell. It will pass. It's fine. You won't be scared for very long. We are going to be friends. But first, there is a thing that you must do with your companion. No, we are going to be friends after. First, Astara, you must get in the cage. And you'll wait there in the cage until your friends are done with the game. Because if your friends don't finish the game, then at least I get to have you for my own friend.
Can I at least ask what the game is before you take our friend?
No, you can't, because I'm the king and you're not. All right, everybody, I am the king. I am His Greatness, the king. And there's a big cheer. So, put Astara in the cage. Two of the bears go over to the winch and they start lowering the cage down.
I'd like to ask, can I stay with Astara?
No, you have to play the game. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
I'm not good at games. Really?
That will make it better for me.
No, I'd really just I'd make it way more boring for you.
No, it will be so funny. I can't wait. I love it when people are bad at the game. They're so funny.
So you're saying
bad at games. I'm bad at games because I make them not a competition.
If you finish Astara, if you finish the game, Astara can go back with you. But she have to put her blessing on me first. Just a kiss on my forehead is what it says in the story. It could be enough, even if she doesn't stay forever. Or maybe she's not the little girl I wait for. But I don't think you're going to finish the game because you're terrible at games, and this one is impossible. So I'm going to have you start put in the cage. I think I'm a little drunk. This is great. So, two of the bear guards descend from the dais and approach Astara, who willingly walks forward with them. They, with their gigantic bear hands, they clasp her by the arms. They take her up and they put her inside the cage. They hoist that up and it hangs now above the cooking pot. She is looking 100% bravely out through the bars, and she just kind of almost imperceptibly nods at you. She has nothing but faith. The king says, okay, now for the rules of the game, here they are. First off, you all have to do exactly what I say all the time because I'm the king. But I will let you play the game. But if I say that for this part you cannot use spell, then you cannot use no spell. And if I say that for this part, you cannot use any rope, then you cannot use any rope. And this is the way the rules go, and it's because I make them up because I'm the king of the bears. Okay? Okay. So you see the cliff here behind me. You're going to do my obstacle course. I do it all the time. It's easy for bears. But you are going to do my obstacle course, and you must all make it through. Each and every one of you is going to have to get all the way through my entire obstacle course. And then when you arrive back here on my platform as if you are royalty like bears, then I will let you through my portal and you can go home to your stupid material plane where everyone is a whiny mortal baby. And you can have your little girl back after she kissed my forehead. And so, in only just a few minutes, I am going to have you begin the challenge of the first obstacle. Are there any questions first? For Leopold is greatness, King of Bears. That one. Puke.
Never mind. Are there any further rules other than what you've said as far as abilities go? Or is it just making it through?
Oh, you just have to make it through with whatever rules I tell you at the time. And so you have to listen carefully, because if the rules change and you break them, then you'll get in trouble.
And
it's very funny when you get in trouble, though. I want you to. I do.
We'll do our best. Do we go together or one at a time?
You'll all have to make it through each obstacle. So for the first challenge, you'll have to all get up this cliff. It shouldn't be too hard. It's only this many tall. And after that, then there will be another thing, and then there will be some new rules. And you'll have to listen for them. But only after everybody gets to the top of the cliff. You got it? It's not very hard.
Of course. Anything you ask, Your Greatness.
That's right. Why? Because I'm King of Bears. So, if everybody ready, we are going to let the games begin now. Line up. Ready, players, come on down. You hear this strange disembodied voice echoing through, and a light shines suddenly on a bear that you haven't seen before. It looks almost robotic, animatronic in nature, with vacant eyes and a huge, crazy bear smile, and a top hat, a cane, and a little microphone. He begins to announce your obstacle course, which we will begin next week, next Monday on the Mythologue. Everyone's going to want to tune in. We have a set of this. So get your friends, get your family. We're going to play with toys next week and do an obstacle course for bears. I love you guys.
Do you?
Thanks for coming to the Mythologue. We're going to stop a couple minutes early tonight. Everybody tune in next week for episode 7. And my goodness, what's going to happen?
And in the meantime, be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us at Mythologue DND on Twitter, Mythologue DND on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook at the Mythologue.
You can also subscribe to our Patreon if you want to support us financially. It is patreon.com/themythologue, all one word. So far, what's available there on Patreon for patron-only content is weekly recaps of the episode. So if you missed the episode or you just want to read up and catch up before the next one, become a patron at any level. And will give you access to that content. Written this week by Allison. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your work. Sorry that Lindsay Epiphany has been missing for the last little bit. We'll catch her up on what's happening. And love you all. We will see you Monday.